Hello and welcome to GearHeads. My name's Jesse. Today we're going to be working on my 2001 Tacoma and we're going to be fixing one of the most common steering problems that these trucks have. Both the Tacomas, 4Runners, and Tundras, and probably Sequoias as well, all very commonly wear out their steering rack bushings. So from the factory, they're made of rubber. This is supposed to, make the NVH, as they call it, noise, vibration, and harshness. It's supposed to make it a little bit more forgiving, get a little bit less feel through your steering wheel from bumps in the road, etc. But those bushings wear out and then your steering wheel starts losing center. You go around a corner and let's just say you're turning left and then you go to center back up and now your steering wheel's off. And then you go around another corner, opposite direction, and now your steering wheel's off the other way. So this is what you need to solve that problem. And instead of replacing those bushings with rubber ones, I'm going to use polyurethane bushings. In the past, on a lot of customer vehicles, I've always used energy suspension polyurethane bushings. You can get them in black, or if you want to be really cool, you can get them in red. How exciting. But actually, Dorman now makes and sells polyurethane bushings for them. Normally, I really don't like Dorman, but I figured I'd give them a shot. Polyurethane's polyurethane, right? How hard can it be to mess that up, I hope. The reason I ended up getting the Dorman ones is because it was very convenient for me. I was able to just order them and buy them right at my local O'Reilly's in town. I didn't have to order them online and wait for them to get shipped to me, etc. I was able to literally just go buy them there. So in any case, let's go ahead and get the truck up in the air and start working on it. By the way, obviously I have access to a lift. I understand a lot of you guys don't. There is absolutely zero reason you can't do this on the ground, but I have a lift, I'm gonna use it. So go ahead and jack your truck up safely and we'll get underneath there and start showing you what we're gonna do. So underneath the truck, here is your steering rack, and these are the bushings we're talking about. So there's a bushing behind the nut here, under this mount here. There's a bushing right on this guy right here, and then there's also a bushing wrapping around the right side of the steering columns. And the reason we're replacing this is because the steering rack is shifting left and right. I'm not gonna be able to move it very easily by hand right now, probably, because it's not actually that bad yet. But if I look over here, I can see a little bit of a shiny spot actually on the steering rack because it's shifting and moving in this bushing. And I bet when I take these out, you'll be able to see that they're pretty worn in as well. In any case, I'm going to be lifting this thing, putting bigger tires on it, and yeah, we want to make sure that these bushings are solid. I don't want my steering to feel sloppy. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, we're gonna start by taking the right one off first. You're gonna need an 18mm socket or wrench to get this guy off. Okay, and the top one's a nut with a stud. So I'm gonna leave the bracket in place for just a moment, and I'm gonna take this one out next. This is a 22mm on the nut. There we go. Make sure you don't lose your big washer there. And yeah, you can see here, this thing's been rubbing and moving around in here. It's leaving rubber residue all over the place. And it's starting to crack and fall apart. So anyway, go ahead and take the bolt out. Okay, and lastly, there's gonna be a third bolt right here. So you're gonna wanna reach up over the top, right here. And if you stick your head down over, you can see where the socket's gonna sit on that head of the bolt. So hold on, come on baby. There we go, 19mm, like I said. You break that one loose. Oh, all right, that one's tight, huh? Oh, man, okay. Well, that one's pretty tight. I'm gonna go ahead and get my 1/2 inch. There it goes. Jeez, man. Yeah, that was a tight one. So now this thing's basically going to dangle by the tie rods, by the steering shaft up here, and by the lines. So let me get a pry bar in here and pry the rack away carefully. Don't force anything. If it doesn't want to come back, then something's, probably not right or sticking somewhere. Let me see, get this bracket off. Come on. All right, there we go. So there's our bracket. And then this guy literally has a split in it, so you can just take it straight out. And there's that old rubber bushing. Let me grab the new one to replace it. So here's our new bushing. It's polyurethane. Now, if you're used to doing polyurethane bushings on like suspension components, usually they always give you Prothane like grease to put in them. This isn't supposed to move at all, so we don't really need to grease it. If you want to, you're more than welcome to. I'm really not concerned about it. it's just going to be being held still. It's not the same as like a control arm bushing or something like that. So with the steering rack pulled out like this, now we're going to work on getting these bushings out here. So I'm going to do this one first. Sometimes if they're worn out bad enough, you can literally just get them to come right out. I don't think this one's going to though. You could use a torch if you really wanted to, but I don't want to heat up all of this with a torch. That's not a very good idea. I'm going to use a drill bit actually and go in here and work it around in a circle. And that will allow me to just yank that bushing right out. And then once we get that one in, we'll set this back up and I'll do the exact same thing for this one. So here's our bushing. Let's go ahead and get a drill bit in there. Oop. Honestly, something like a long 1/8" drill bit works well for this because you don't want to dig too much into the actual metal of the rack. All right, there we go. There's the old bushing out. So next we've got these two polyurethane bushing pieces, and then it is going to be the metal bushing that has a smaller hole. The other bushing is the same outer diameter, but the inner diameter will match the bolt, obviously, that went through here. So stick the one over the top, and for this one I am gonna lube it just a little bit to make it easier to slide in. Okay, now we just got to move over to this one. A 16mm socket. And tap this guy. There we go. Now I just got to position the rack a little bit differently, like that. Come on. Almost out. Alright, there we go. You know what? That Dorman kit actually came with a new washer that goes right here, so I don't have to worry about getting it off of the old one. So all we got to do now is press this guy together. Like I said before, a little bit of lube just to make it slide together. Alright, let's stick this guy in here. You could choose to do it with the rubber, with the metal bushing in it or not. You could just, but I'm gonna leave it in there and see how it goes. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Okay, now all we have to do is lift the rack back up into place, get our hardware back in, and this is done. The one part that might wrestle you a bit is getting the bushing on the center one into place, but use a pry bar or use a hammer if you need to, just to lightly tap it, but be careful, don't hit the rack body itself very hard with a hammer. You don't want to crack it. All right, so let's go ahead and get this one in first. I'm going to go ahead and stick this bolt through. Now don't forget, they provided a washer for this part right here, so there we go. All right, you should be able to push it or just tap it lightly with a hammer, you'll get it done. There we go, look at that. Came right through. All right, original washer here, and get the nut started. Okay, I'm going to leave that one for now. Next, let's go ahead and get this guy on over here. There we go. Okay. There we go. So I'm gonna use this to go ahead and pull it up, and I'm gonna watch right here. All right, our hole here is still not perfectly lined up, but that should hopefully be solved if we tighten this guy up. Almost there. Yep. All right, guys, I apologize for the quick jump in the video there, but when I was fitting that third bolt in, my camera died. So in any case, you guys got the idea of it. It's a very simple, easy install. I know if you're on your back and not on the lift, it might be a little bit harder to maneuver things around. But relatively speaking, it's a pretty simple process. Just be patient and take your time. And then just to mention, like I said, I use that Dorman kit. And it came with 2 different bushings for that center spot. So just make sure you double check with your bolt and you pick the right bushing for whatever bolt you have. In any case, if you guys have any questions or any other comments, please drop them down below. I hope you enjoyed the video and you found it helpful. And if you did, please hit the like button and share it with somebody. Either way, that concludes this project. And now I'm moving on to putting a lift on this truck. So if you guys are interested in that, keep an eye out on the channel. We're going to be putting on a 2.5 to 3 inch lift in the front. Add a leaf and a lift in the rear, and I'm trying to fit some 33 mud terrains on it that I had sitting around waiting for my Jeep. But anyways, check out these videos if you guys want to hear more about it. And as always, thank you for watching and keep wrenching.